9.
The Radio Whammo Breakfast
Suckling on the teat of tech.
with Paul Brislen.
Some of the high-tech stories of the week with Mr. Paul Brislen. G'day there.
How are you, sir?
Good. Now,
Good.
I'd imagine a lot of people over the holiday period probably got themselves onto smartphones, either via presents at Christmas time or just being idle and bored and nothing else to do. So why not pick up a smartphone and use that? Do you find that you've got no spare time anymore? Now that you've got a smartphone?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I do, I am downloading applications. It's appalling.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I've done probably 5 or 6 in the last week.
And that's what we're talking about, applications and how much they're worth and how much they're projected to be worth into the future.
That's right. So last year, last year, I'm getting ahead of myself. Last week, the 10 billionth Apple App Store application was downloaded. That's 10 billion, 0 to 10 billion applications in 2.5 years.
Now, is this for the iPhone or?
This is purely for the iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah. And given the birth of the iPad as well and how fast those things are selling, the estimates now are that we will see 17 billion applications sold next year alone.
Wow.
So we'll jump from taking 2.5 years to get to 10 billion to 12 months to get another 17 billion. This is a $15 billion US a year industry now, churning out applications for smart devices. And that's thanks largely to Apple, but now we start to see the war heating up with Google getting involved. And it is big business. It is not to be sniffed at.
Now, the challenge, though, for Android, as far as I can tell, is to be able to convert a lot of those downloads into cash, because a lot of these applications are free.
Well, they are, but Android's taking the other route. So with Apple, you pay basically 99 cents per app or up from the iPhones. With Android, a lot of them are free, but they have advertising embedded in them. So I'm playing a game at the moment, and it's the first time I've really noticed the advertising. This is a game called Tank something, which is, as you can tell, a high productivity tool designed to improve my efficiency. Tank Hero, it's called. It's a fiendishly difficult game, mostly because my thumb's too big to control the little tank that rolls around. But it slaps a big ad for free porn video downloads in the top right-hand corner, which is really quite alarming.
But inappropriate, perhaps?
Well, tanks and porn, they go together quite nicely.
But what's not to say that you're an 8-year-old playing this tank game?
Well, there's nothing to stop an 8-year-old playing it.
So that's
because it's a free download, and I'm sure Mum and Dad, whilst you might be clued up enough to be monitoring their use of the PC and know, Sonny, you're not allowed to buy that game that says R18, violence and sexual content may offend, they seem quite happy to have the kids charging around with access to this kind of thing on the smartphone.
So that's a pitfall.
Something you've got to really consider in the future is that this is the way people will be accessing the internet.
Well, that's a pitfall of that particular revenue model is ads within apps. How do we get people? Because I've paid for probably a couple of apps on my Android phone, but most of the apps here are free. How are developers going to convince people to purchase?
Well, I think you do it one of two ways. So you start off with the free trial version, which seems to be very popular. We'll give you the light version of the game or the app or whatever with limited range. If you want to buy the real thing, you upgrade. And I would say you can have all three models sitting side by side. So you have the free trial version, you have the free with advertising, and you have the free you have the paid with no advertising. To me, I would happily. Some ads I don't. Some apps I don't care whether they have ads blinking away in the corner. Other apps I think no. I want that clean and clear. Thanks. I want the full screen experience. I want to download that app. A business app, for example, I would pay money for. I've actually paid the most I've ever paid for an app, which was about $6 just yesterday for Double Twist for the AirSync. Now, Double Twist is a music synchronization library service that takes all of my iTunes music since I've moved from Apple, and makes it Android available.
Okay.
And they introduced it was a free app. It's absolutely free to download. They've introduced AirSync, which is now you can do it over Wi-Fi. So every time I walk near my PC, the two synchronize and I get all the music dumped onto my phone without having to do anything.
Oh, cool.
And I thought, that's worth $6.
Okay, Double Twist.
Yeah, Double Twist. Well worthwhile.
So it's
So if you're like me and you've moved over from Apple to Android, you've got a whole bunch of songs and stuff already dumped into iTunes, and you
Yeah.
don't want to be bothered trying to rip them all off your CDs again, away you go.
Oh, a nice tip there. All right.
It sits right in front, which is really quite nice. But that's the kind of thing that we're starting to see. There's a big concern that these apps will just be a bit of a blip, that everybody will fill up their phones of various types and then say, right, well, that's enough of that, thanks. And to some degree, they're right. You know, there will be a period where you download like crazy, and then everybody's got the basics that they need, and it all tails off a bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think there are so many innovative new apps coming out that that's going to be quite a way off. It'll be quite a while before we get there.
I think so. Now, a brand new gadget has just been released by Sony. They've one-upped their PlayStation Portable product.
Yes, this is the new PlayStation Portable. It's not PlayStation Portable 2. It's called the Next Generation Portable, the NGP. And it is, PlayStation's been one of those devices that Sony really didn't know what to do with. It's a gorgeous bit of kit. It had a great screen on it. You could play games. You could play movies. You could Wi-Fi it together with other PSPs and play multiplayer games long before the iPhone came out. So Sony's actually done something a bit tricky here. They've taken a two-pronged approach. They have introduced this new device, which will run on 3G as well, so it runs over the mobile phone networks. It'll connect up. You can download games and content over the air instead of having to buy these little discs to put in. So that's all well and good. A new device, quite like the look of that. 5 inches of organic light-emitting diodes. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they've also said what they will do is port a whole bunch of their older games to Android. So you can play them all on your Android phones.
Really?
Now, this is really quite interesting because Sony's quite a big heavyweight, and they've thrown in their lot with Android.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that won't cannibalize a lot of the demand for the PlayStation Portable family. But, you know, I guess the real growth in online gaming has been via small devices and the non-traditional gamer market, not folks like your good self and me who like to play loud, nasty first-person shooters charging around the place for 16 hours at a stretch, but rather the casual gamer who just wants to pick something up and have a bit of fun with Angry Birds, which has been a huge success, and they're now talking about an Angry Birds movie.
So why not make this PlayStation, what is it called, NGP?
Yeah, the Next Generation
Portable. Why not just make it a phone that does all the things that
well,
it
in
says
effect,
it does
that's
as well?
what it is. If it's got 3G capability, it's somewhere between a phone and a tablet. So I
run
guess
Skype,
you can make
perhaps.
phone calls on it and have a crack at that. Sony's a bit stuck because it is a giant multinational corporation with lots of divisions, one of which is its partnership with Ericsson to make phones, Sony Ericsson.
Oh, right.
So I guess they've got different divisions here treading on each other's toes. But in effect, this is a phone. You slap you've got 3G. It's going to be able to operate on the 3G network. So let's slap a VoIP client on top and have cheap phone calling.
Yeah, well, I
Very
suppose.
interesting
I
model
mean, you
for
can
Sony.
on a existing PSP run Skype on it.
Yeah.
As well. I'm just guessing this is getting probably a little bit geeky, but it's running some type of Linux in the background?
I think so. I haven't ever taken the lid off a PSP to have a look, and there's no mention of it in any of the release information. I thought perhaps they were going to announce that they were running Android on it.
Yeah.
But there's no sign of that.
Well, Android is essentially a form of Linux.
It is.
In some ways, isn't it?
And Linux is this open source operating system which has always floated around at very low market penetration, but is really aimed at the uber geeky, because it's based on the old Unix operating systems that the mainframes used to use. So, or probably still do. But it'll be very interesting to see quite how Sony plays here, because although they're not big in New Zealand, they are huge internationally in this market. They've stuffed up repeatedly in the last few years. They're looking for a big win. You might remember Sony's BMG division were the clowns who decided to put spyware software on every CD they sold, music CDs, to try and watch to see what you're doing with it, and it stopped people being able to play the CDs, which is absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah.
So, they've got to come back with a big win, and this may well be a very interesting model for them.
Okay, all right. Look out for the It's gonna be our next generation portable. That's at NGP.
The NGP.
Thanks.
That's only a test name. They may change it, but
okay.
What are you going to call it?
I think they need to. Just call it a PSP 2, 3, 4, whatever.
PSP 2.0.
Yeah. Cheers, Paul.
Thanks for that.
Yep, that's find Paul on Twitter, twitter.com/Paul Brislen.